groupe AIA.
The AIA Group was founded in 1965 by a collective of architects and engineers who decided to join forces to work on complex healthcare projects.
I'm Delphine Bégy, I'm architect and president of AIA Life Designers, and this is the Architects series. Aujourd'hui, l'agence,
Today, we're more than just an architecture firm. We're a multidisciplinary collective of more than 780 co-workers, architects, engineers, environmental engineers, construction engineers, site engineers, landscape architects, urban planners, and more. We also have a few more unusual profiles, such as set designers and researchers in the humanities. That's what sets us apart. Working at AIA means especially being part of a people-led firm, a collective that fuels our energy and desire to work together. Architecture means understanding people's fundamental needs and turning them into actual projects. Behind every project, there's a collective thought process bringing together architectural and spatial design and engineering science. Today, it's not just about building. It's about repairing, rehabilitating, imagining differently. It's what we call regenerative architecture. Architecture that doesn't consume but gives, creates value, cares for living things, respects landscapes and environments. At AIA, we are committed to this transition. We have strong convictions. We're involved in networks and seek out demanding certifications. Our approach to projects is unique, based on considerations of overall health, physical, mental, and social. We, of course, use bio-based materials and consider comfort and usability, but especially, we focus on creating welcoming, hospitable buildings whose project design includes people-friendly amenities. It's very demanding, but exciting. The group decided to expand internationally, mainly with healthcare projects, bringing our expertise to the table. Our first experience was in China, where we offered this tightly knit architect-engineer combination on major healthcare projects.
Le projet du campus Sante Franceline-Ribard.
The Campus Sante Franceline-Ribard project is quite special and innovative. The first of its kind in France, even in Europe, it aims to bring together the full range of healthcare training programs in a single institution.
Le QHU de Nantes, donc ce nouveau quartier.
The Nantes University Hospital Center, a new healthcare district, will include all human and animal healthcare schools and faculties.
The university campus is on the island of Nantes, very close to the future university hospital complex currently under construction. It will work both with the university hospital and the rest of the district, since the city of Nantes aims to create a healthcare hub of excellence around this university hospital project.
The special feature of this project on the island of Nantes is the integration of mobility from the start, with the creation of a large green corridor for bicycles and pedestrians.
It's an area of 44,000 square meters, on which there will be 3 buildings. There's the Campus Life Hub, with student and faculty living quarters. Next, there's the Teaching Hub with all the standard teaching facilities and lecture theaters. Then we have a more technical building called the Practical Training Hub, with simulation facilities, since medical studies entail simulation of doctor-patient relations and performing dissections, hence a simulation and research section. The practical training hub also includes a university canteen serving 2,200 people a day that will serve students at this and other universities in Nantes.
ICM, c'est un projet.
The ICE Brain Hospital is a project we hold very dear since it will enable scientists, researchers, families, patients, and children to come together around research into children's health. It is a real place of the future for our children, designed to be hospitable, welcoming all those concerned and enabling them to work and live very complex situations with greater serenity. That's why we're so fully committed to this project.
The Children's Brain Institute is a very special project. Like the previous project, it's a first in the sense that this is the first time we are grouping together these programs in a single building. We have children with brain-related conditions and their caregivers, of course, even if this facility is not a healthcare facility proper, but rather a diagnostic and research facility. So you have child patients, caregivers, applied research, and basic research all in a single facility, which itself is an extension of the Robert Debré Hospital in Paris. It's also a very unusual site, wedged between the existing hospital, the ring road, and the city of Paris's drinking water reservoir. So it's a very small site. In fact, my first visit was a real surprise, a site running along the ring road on a slope allocated to a facility for children with health issues. But very quickly, our vision of the project design for the site took shape. We wanted to take advantage of the project's location in relation to the Ring Road, City, and Outer City district to enhance its visibility and also create a landmark. So, the elevation facing the Ring Road has a very distinctive carved decorative effect that makes you wonder what's inside. It reminds some people of a brain.
Tu descends comme ça, hop, tu reviens chercher l'escalier.
Jusqu'à la terrasse, et les deux feux. Et du coup, t'as l'insert là. Je trouve que ça marche bien.
Ouais, c'est nouveau parce qu'on a repris tout le projet et on s'est inspiré effectivement de tout cet escalier.
Qui se répondait entre les deux.
The AIA Foundation was created in 2011 by the architecture firm AIA Life Designers. The company's goal is to conduct research in 3 areas: architecture, health, and the environment. Why these 3? Because we realize that health is a major factor in the equilibrium and well-being of populations. The AIA Foundation is therefore a research platform that also looks into the subject of collective health. Although today we talk more about well-being, it's important to note that our research is mainly into the evolution of project methods. How a firm of architects, engineers, and urban planners decide at a certain point to address the question of public health, not simply in response to a hospital building brief, but going beyond that to consider achieving objectives like those defined by the WHO. This is particularly true when considering the families of health determinants. Nor do we keep this knowledge to ourselves. We share it in the format of an exhibition called Comment allons-nous? How are we doing? That will be touring different regions. The exhibition was first shown in 2021 at the Venice Biennale, and subsequently in other regions. It is currently being presented in Lyon, sponsored by the local CAUE, the Architectural, Town Planning, and Environment Council, an organization concerned not only with involving the general public in questions of collective health, but also with showing how architects, designers, and landscape architects must themselves broaden their approach and include consideration of well-being and health.
La question de la santé.
For AIA, health issues cannot be resolved or merely summed up as a matter of finding a place where the sick are cared for. It's not just that. For AIA, it's about a truly comprehensive health project that includes physical, mental, and social health. It's an inclusive dimension involving creating spaces that will enable people, as far as possible, to feel better and get better. Developing an overall design concept is at the heart of these projects.
Le projet SINA au
The
Maroc,
IBN SINA project in Morocco is the second major project we have been asked to design in Rabat. It's a 280,000 square meters hospital located in the center of Rabat. It marks a truly decisive moment in AIA's international development. It is a very special project, entailing a fairly complex programmatic healthcare requirement. Building a hospital in a tower, a program that does not necessarily lend itself to this typology. Why a tower? It allowed us to resonate with two other towers already in the center of Rabat and create a distinctive skyline with key landmarks for the whole city. However, you can't just build a healthcare tower with a series of pertinent programs and not include other elements. How do you ensure that this tower is different from an office tower? Our main answer was to create a continual green strip up the building. The tower opens out towards the city and the sea with a green continuum that starts from the landscaped approach to the Ibn Sina Hospital and rises up through the full height of the building through all the floors, opening up the tower to the urban context.
C'est un projet qui va regrouper un hôpital.
This project will be both a hospital and a university where patients, researchers, and clinicians come together to provide innovative medical treatment in Morocco in the future. The IBN SINA Tower was conceived to fit with the climate and the environment close to the city of Rabat. We talked about this green continuum that faces the sea and the city, but it's also a sensory design. On each level of the tower, this continuum of natural greenery mounting the facade allows people to step outside for some fresh air and enjoy a moment of relaxation. The tower is characterized by its kinetic envelope that accompanies the facade from the main hall up through the full height of the building. In fact, the envelope can be described as an active skin. So much is going on. It allows natural ventilation. Windows can be opened. The fact that you can open the window on any floor and get some fresh air is a strategic feature of the whole program. It's part of the sensory design to be able to know what the weather is like outside, what the temperature and humidity are at any given moment.
Le Centre Pompidou.
The Centre Pompidou is evidently a hugely iconic project in Paris. A museum project where we are assisting the client with the renovation of this heritage site. It's really significant for us as architects to be involved in the project and work hand in hand with the Centre Pompidou teams.
Our work on this project consists of renovating all the facades, all of the networks, and reinstating the project to comply with safety, fire, and equitable accessibility standards. So it's a fairly complex, comprehensive brief involving all aspects of the building. The centre will close for several years, during which we will take over and renovate it. We will give it a new lease of life for the next 50 years. By completely renovating all the mechanicals, plant and facades, we will allow the centre to look to the future as it was built, as Renzo Piano said, to last 500 years. We don't claim to be building for 500 years. But what we do notice, though, is that this building has many qualities, and that with new materials and today's technologies, we will be able to project it into the future and allow it to continue its mission of public service and culture for at least the next 50 years.
C'est un bâtiment qui est tellement
It's
extraordinaire.
such an extraordinary building that when you first approach it as an architect or engineer, you freeze a bit thinking, oh boy, what I'm doing is sacrilege. But we quickly got over that by adopting a method that ultimately involves embracing the philosophy of the original designers, which is to do something that is truly innovative while preserving everything that makes up the centre's DNA. Here, for example, we have a section of the facade. These elements are found every 1.25 meters and are 7 meters high. They are called stiffening columns and serve to reinforce the facade from the outside. They're a prototype and exist only at the Sante Pompidou and nowhere else. The facades are, let's say, no longer compliant, misted over, sometimes containing asbestos. Our job will be to restore and reinstate them. To do so, we'll preserve as many components as possible, the stiffening columns, what are called the U-profiles here, and the anchoring pieces here made especially for the operation. We're going to remove the glass and replace it with today's new high-performance glazing, at the same time taking the opportunity to clean all the joints and anything that may contain any hazardous materials. These are some examples of the work we'll be doing on the centre, preserving as much as possible. All these elements are in very good structural condition and will replace only what needs to be replaced.
Today, architecture is undergoing a major paradigm shift. The city is already there, and we have to rebuild on top of it. That's one of the main challenges facing the environment. It's about working with what's already there, building the city on top of what's already there to regenerate it. This is how we try to bring a new perspective to our projects.
You could say that it's a co-design project with an architect who came before. It is like going back to the past. I find that fascinating because discovering the work of another architect is culturally very interesting. You delve into the history of architecture, the approaches to design, methods, and construction techniques. You learn a lot. It's really a question of dialoguing with a work that has already been created.
Today, we are organized around units grouped around AIA Environment, which allows us to address these issues in all our projects, whether they're certified or not. Today, our environmental engineers are involved from the get-go, from the very first pencil stroke. The DREATE project on Rue Mialis in Paris is a major urban regeneration project where we have to rebuild on what already exists, work with what's already there. It's a project that sums up the future of architecture very well.
There are 3 objectives. There's the concrete goal of modernizing the building, especially in terms of energy efficiency, consumption control, and systems to meet tomorrow's environmental requirements. There's the question of occupant workplace comfort. That's the second major objective. And then there's also the broader urban issue of renewing the image of this administration and its dialogue with the city. And around these 3 major themes, there's also an important focus on densification. Today, there are around 600 people working on the site, which will rise to 1,000. So densification and, at the same time, high environmental expectations. There's the existing part and a new part, an extension. For the new build, we have implemented very low-carbon construction principles using wooden facade frames with wooden cladding and bio-based insulation. We have deliberately set ourselves a very ambitious goal in terms of materials and construction techniques. For the existing part, the goal was to retain almost all of the existing structure, reusing what was there and not deconstructing or demolishing anything, rather enhancing as much as possible. We again used bio-based materials and generally implemented low-maintenance air filtration, heating and cooling techniques, and passive and low-consumption systems to have a building with really low running costs.
Le projet de la CNAV,
The CNAV brief, the National Pension Fund, is a renovation project covering more than 20,000 square meters in Paris, part of which dating back to the 19th century, the other part from the 1950s. This is another large-scale regeneration project working with existing structures and addressing issues such as energy consumption and creating new workspaces.
The project we call CNAV, the headquarters of France's National Pension Fund, concerns the central management location of an organization with branches in all France's regions. The headquarters are in Paris on Rue de Flandre. Here again, it's a very interesting site since, like other projects, it occupies a city block. In addition, it's not just one building, but a fairly diverse group of structures that dates back to the 19th century with a building that was formerly the Erard Piano Company, a French piano brand that once had its piano manufacturing workshops there. A complex situation, therefore. The program again involved energy renovation and improving CNAV employee workplace comfort. Then there was the preservation and restoration of an existing building, which, although not excessively altered or damaged, had not been maintained, kept up, and cared for, and was showing significant deterioration. In a word, there was a need to clean up and restore the site's lost coherence.
The Hotel de Broglie for the National Assembly is a heritage project where we unpackage the site in order to offer new workspaces for members of the National Assembly.
The Hotel de Broglie for the National Assembly is a rather unique adventure in terms of the type of architectural intervention. The Hotel de Broglie was originally a private mansion built in 1720, so dating back more than 200 years. The project was for the National Assembly. The profession or role of parliamentarians has changed considerably, and today they need a team of assistants, but the actual offices did not offer comfortable or even acceptable working environments.
La demande, c'était de mettre en place.
The brief was to create a new office layout for the members of Parliament on this new site, which had been acquired by the National Assembly in order to update and streamline its tertiary services and its service offering for members of Parliament. The building, dating back to 1720, had undergone extensions and alterations up to the 19th century. Previously, people had felt free to demolish and rebuild. A very carefully planned intervention was therefore needed. In addition, without going into detail, there were regulatory, accessibility, and reinstatement requirements. Integrating all these constraints was a major challenge in a building where we needed to minimize our impact, fully aware of the structure's history and everything that had happened over 2 centuries.
L'architecture de demain sera
The architecture of tomorrow will certainly be different from that of today. We are increasingly gravitating towards the large-scale regeneration of sites, brownfield industrial sites, and urban sites. And so, the proposal we will make will certainly be different from the approach we might take today. We will have to work with what already exists. Consider the land. We will increasingly be questioning ourselves about the regeneration of living things, the land, and our regions. The major challenges for the agency are twofold. On the one hand, the future of our organization and who we are as a company. Being 780 co-workers in an architecture firm today means we must think about how to sustain our company, how we are going to collectively succeed in meeting all the challenges that await us, while keeping architects at the center of our projects. This is a real challenge for us today at the group level. And then there are obviously other challenges: how to continue to develop our commitments and always respond collectively to these projects at a time when the construction industry is undergoing major changes and facing significant challenges, and resources for projects continue to dwindle. The question is, how can we find different sources of funding for these projects? These are the questions we are asking ourselves today, and the group is working as a collective to find the answers for tomorrow.